You know, it feels mildly weird that we just got Vegeta and we're already most likely about to get another LF. But I try to make this point to people all the time, is that the game kind of goes in set release periods, and typically around the 17th of every month since the beginning of the year, actually, we've been getting LFs on a monthly period. So it's not really surprising, and you'll have both banners overlapping for a time, and Vegeta's banner will still be it for a while. But long story short, they're announcing new video and stuff. They have some things here that are going to be talked about, like a new PvP rule, I think they said. I'm going to read it here in a moment, but also a new character, and it doesn't have more than one. There's no S there. Maybe that's a typo. Maybe there's more than one. Maybe it's obviously, maybe there is one that's extra. That's like an EX, but nobody really counts those typically. So it might be just one new sparking overall, and if it's one new sparking, you can bet your bottom dollar it's an LF. So keep that in mind as well, just like Vegeta, right? Didn't they do that with Vegeta? So overall, though, it feels weird, but it's going to happen. So we're going to talk today about who some of the most likely candidates are for upcoming character releases. So if you saw my video yesterday, I talked about Bardock in particular. Now, I titled it in a way where it said, oh, another LF Bardock. But for the record, if you didn't watch the video, throughout that video, I talk about the fact it didn't have to be an LF Bardock that could fit the theme of what I was talking about in that video. It could be an Ultra Bardock. That's very, very possible, for the record. Like, we need a new Ultra. We don't need a new Ultra, but it's been a few months since we had the last one. It's probably closer than you think, and Bardock getting an Ultra would be cool, giving him those nice animations, assuming that they don't, kind of half-ass it a little bit like they do with Vegeta and Goku nonetheless. So yeah, like it could be a Zenkai Bardock, whatever the case is, right? It didn't necessarily have to be a LF or transforming, whatever. It could be whatever, and it would fit the theme. So check that video out. Link is down below. So I'll talk a little bit more about Bardock in this video, but there are some other fan favorites that are in circulation as a possible LF, so or release, I guess. But this is most likely an LF, right? There's too many things pointing to it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below who you guys think is getting a release soon. So we're bringing you information on the upcoming events for September and special rules within PvP. The Japanese post actually told you exactly what they were, like what the special rule was, but it doesn't matter. We'll see the video in a few days. Well, I guess a week from today. Right, so broadcast date is the 14th, so less than a week. Anyways, of course, there's also going to be info on a new character. Again, they say a new character, not new characters. Hope you're looking forward to it. A portion of the video was filmed in Japanese. Please use the subtitle features on YouTube to enjoy the video. Okay, so yeah, they said on Twitter, and I wasn't sure if it was the whole video or not, but they're saying a portion here. So for this video, we're going to have subs on. So that's fine. Don't worry, I have G14 classifications to deliver you the best translations otherwise. All right, anyways, certifications, excuse me. So yeah, so let's take a look at some of what I think is very, very possible. Let's just go ahead and just kind of rip the band-aid off, and we'll start off with Cell. So Cell has been getting a ton of traction in the community. Like every post I see is like, oh, LF Cell when? Oh, LF Cell where? And he is getting a ton of traction in terms of people wanting the release of a Cell. Does it make the most sense based on the teams he is normally applicable to and the way that they've been handled recently? Because typically with the release of characters, there's always a theme to it, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But I talked about this previously, and if you guys have been playing for a while or been following the game for a while, you know what I'm talking about. But very briefly, it's no surprise that they dropped Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta and then followed him up with more Terminator Power characters and a Zenkai for Akaba. There's no surprise they did all these Terminator Power characters back to back to back. During the anniversary, they did a bunch of GT characters back to back to back, and then right after the anniversary, they dropped some more GT stuff. It's no surprise they do these things. They drop these characters in themes, and they've done that for years. That's just one a couple of examples, and they've done it for a very long time. So in terms of what I was saying here, Cell doesn't necessarily fit too much of anything that's been happening lately in the game. Just going to throw that out there. So in terms of what they'd be doing if they dropped a new Cell character is they'd be adding to what we already have for the firepower for some of his applicable teams already. So let's look at Android. I'm not really going to talk too much about the colors that these characters need, because I think when you factor in some Zenkais and some of the more recent characters like 17 and 18 specifically for this grouping, like this whole top 3 right here is really, really good still. Like, you could make the argument they need X color, whatever. I'm not really going to get into that too much. It'll just extend the video because I can make multiple arguments per each character I'm going to show you. But off the top of my my head here, it looks like red may be a good color, but I mean, they have the Revive Cell. Some people will tell you he's pretty bad now. I'm not going to give an opinion on that, but I don't even use them, to be honest, anymore. But nonetheless, though, androids overall, they haven't received a buff since 17 and 18. They've gotten Zenkais, obviously, but they don't necessarily need a new character, in my opinion. Future is interesting because they actually wound up being the second group for the anniversary, which was pretty surprising because all signs were pointing towards Tournament of Power, which, on the topic of Tournament of Power, like I said, they dropped more Tournament of Power stuff recently. Way too early, in fact, predictions is for the end of the year, we're going to be getting LFs centered around the Tournament of Power, which is why I won't say that they're going to do back-to-back Tournament of Power LFs right now. That would be something I was going to talk about a little later, but I don't think they're going to do back-to-back Tournament of Power LFs because, for the record, what are they going to give us? Kefla? Like, I mean, there's more characters they can do, don't get me wrong, like, but there's obviously a couple that people are waiting for, namely one, but there's a couple characters that are at the top of the list, right? So, like, they're going to obviously save those for later. Do they want to drop another Tournament of Power LF now and then come back in a couple months and say, here's another one, and then, like, a month later, here's another one? You know what I'm saying? So, like, we'll see. And for the record, if you're new, the anniversary is all hype and stuff like that, but the end of the year is bigger than the anniversary. So that's why last year at the end of the year, they dropped UI and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta back to freaking back at the end of the year. Not even for their anniversary, at the end of the year. Those are the two most hyped characters up to that point, for the record. So yeah, UI is most likely coming out at the end of the year. Anyways, so Future, they want to be in the second grouping. Do they need some more support? I mean, sure. But do they really need it? No, right? They still have some really good core characters. They got some more new ones. But if you really want to kind of nitpick, they could use certain things between the way that the team is built, more blast-based or more strike-based. They could use certain characters to fill out those. I've noticed that they typically like to have like 2 characters per color, one with the strike focus and the blast focus. Like these two who have opposing arts, by the way. It's really nice when you put them side by side, Rose, Goku Black, and Vegito. More blast-based character, even though he can kind of go both sides. It doesn't really matter. You have a melee-based character. They like to do that a lot, right? Trunks and Gohan here, they do that a lot. Anyways, so we'll see what happens, but Future doesn't necessarily need it. And Regen, though, is the interesting one because Regen is the oldest grouping here that hasn't received a buff. I mean, they got the new Zamasu, but other than that, though, they didn't really get anything else. They just haven't. So I think that if they were to do it, he'd be Regen focused. And if you ask me what the odds are of this, I'd say actually 50% chance that this is going to happen. And part of the reason why is because they have been, they obviously always are paying attention to the community on Reddit, things like that. You may not think that they do, but they do. So if they've seen the traction Cell has got, Cell's probably the most asked about character right now, outside of the most obvious choice like UI Goku, right? So keep that in mind. But yeah, so like Cell's got a lot of traction. I think he has a really good shot at coming out. Now, actually saying contrary to the theme that, or to the idea that they're not following the theme, there is some stuff that would follow recent themes and trends and patterns in the game, being more Lineage of Evil / Bardock related stuff in the game, Frieza / Bardock related stuff. So I wonder if it's finally time for Lineage of Evil to really cycle back around. I've noticed that they try a little bit to spread out the releases of characters for these groupings a little bit. I mean, they went ham for GT during the anniversary with, like, right before the anniversary of the character releases and Zenkais, and during the anniversary, a bunch of characters releases, and just after the anniversary, they still dropped another character, a couple characters. Like, so they went crazy for them. But I've noticed that, like, if you look at like what they've done with Universe Survival, for example, they've really spaced out the releases over the course of the last like year. Like one banner for that group every like 2 months or so, right? So in terms of what we could be looking at for Lineage of Evil, they kind of released that Frieza LF not that long ago. It was just a couple of months ago, and they may be continuing to do something similar to what they did with Universe Survival, where they may drop the Zenkai now. They just did that, obviously. They may drop a new banner as well, kind of move on for a couple weeks, and then drop another banner. We'll see what happens, or a new Zenkai probably. You know, they're going to probably do something similar, I think, because I wonder if they think that's a better model than just dumping all their eggs in one basket a la GT and just kind of moving on. Right, we'll see what happens. But Lineage of Evil is definitely at the top of my list as a grouping that's very relevant right now, if only because of, again, the Frieza-related stuff in the game. Now, could we see something like a new Chilled? Yeah, but he would probably be the new EX on the banner if there is one. Again, because we're really talking about an LF. They're not going to drop a solo banner Chilled, right? So, could you imagine the balls, like the temerity, the unmitigated gall to drop a freaking solo sparking LF. Imagine an LF Chilled. Oh my goodness. They're just not going to do that, right? Bardock is actually a good candidate for an LF. We have other stuff that's like not crazy, like, you know, super. Bardock's very popular, but like there's some more confusing choices, I guess, between LFs, like Goten, for example. Just you know, like I get it, like, he's, you know, the finishing move, all that stuff, but like Bardock deserves one if some of these characters do. Not namely Goten, but some of them. So Bardock getting an LF would fit. Like I said in my video, it's very possible Bardock just gets an Ultra. Keep that in mind. I don't think they're dropping another Frieza specifically, but a character I'd like to see get a release soon, even if it's not the next banner soon, is another Golden Frieza. Golden Frieza, I think, has been pretty slept on. This is like the only Golden... No, there's a transforming one. There's 2 Golden Friezas in the game, and this one's from the 1-year anniversary. Now, the thing is, like, a lot of these characters just are sitting here, like, pending Zenkais. Like this Frieza, this full power Frieza deserves a Zenkai, even though there's 2 other yellow Friezas. One has a Zenkai currently, and this one is another version of the older character, but just better now. But this guy could be disgusting as a wall. So yeah, long story short, like a lot of these characters are pending Zenkais, so it's kind of, it puts them in a weird spot in terms of, do they want to drop a Zenkai and then drop the same named character like on a banner like a week later? You know what I'm saying? Like, say they had dropped the Zenkai for the yellow full power Frieza, then dropped another yellow full power Frieza on the next LF banner. Like, just, I don't know if they want to do that, right? So some of these characters may be in weird spots, but I'd like to see a release for Golden Frieza. Now, my last real big candidate, if you've been keeping track, it's Bardock, Cell, and Cooler. These are 3 characters I think that actually could really stand to get an LF release soon. This is, by the way, this is all speculation. It's not based on anything other than simple things, like I said, like patterns in the game. But Cooler is an interesting one, because I think Cooler is a character that, like I said, deserves a Zenkai, not a Zenkai. He deserves one. This one already has one, but the others, Coolers. Anyways, is a character that would warrant an LF. So, in terms of what I would think they would do here is, again, looking at more Lineage of Evil support, but he also fits a couple of different builds as well. Powerful Opponent is a team they've slowly been buffing up, just like Universe Survival. Every couple of months they're dropping a new character here. This team's never really going to go away. You may not see them every match, but they're not going to go away, because the relevance of the grouping of having all the main antagonists, right? All the main antagonists have this grouping here, so they're just all going to be here. It's always going to be relevant. So Powerful Opponent, he would be buffing that as well, or he'd at least indirectly buff them. Movies. So this is another thing that's kind of interesting. Movies was kind of just chilling, and then they got the stuff for the anniversary, surprisingly. But since then, they haven't really got much. You could bring Movies a little bit more to relevance with a new release for their team, obviously. So that, I think Cooler actually fits a few different molds. Lineage of Evil, Movies, and Powerful Opponent are all teams I think they'd be interested in buffing at this point in time. So that's more or less what I'm thinking about. So if you ask me what I think is most likely for the next LF, it's really not Bardock so much as it is Cooler and Cell, which we'll see what happens. I guess I think it's really just going to be Cell, to be honest. I think the community's been asking for it. They're probably just going to go ahead and do that, even though Cell doesn't fit any real theme currently in the game, other than, I guess, Powerful Opponent. And then Bardock will potentially, if Bardock doesn't get an LF, I think it's extremely likely then that he's the next Ultra. Assuming the next Ultra does drop during this like Frieza-centric time that we're in, right? So anyway, it's just a bunch of speculation. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I tried to get through it as quickly as I could, flub some words as we went, but we got through it. And let me know what you guys think, who you guys want to see. And also, like, if you're letting me know who you want to see, make sure it's within reason. I don't really think the odds of them throwing some random LF out of left field, like, I don't know, LF. Say that Deborah was super duper popular, right? Say he was one of the top popular characters in the series. It wouldn't be as surprising if he got an LF. Say like they randomly drop an LF Deborah, right? Again, he would have to be, he doesn't fit that theme. He's not one of the most popular characters in the series. But if they randomly did that, he'd be out of left field. He doesn't really fit any team like currently getting buffed. You know, I don't think they're going to do that, long story short. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.